Okay, hey everybody. This is Grace, and I am outside, and you can see from the windshield there's rain. We had a good old storm. Earlier today it was 97. Well, actually it got up to 100. When I checked it, it was 90. Let's see, it was 99, and the heat index was 109. Okay. Yeah. So, it's in Texas. Today's August 28th. What do they call it? Meteorological. Wow. Summer wanted to go out with a bang. And what is the other one called? Adam and I were talking about that. We always knew, it wasn't at the beginning or the end of any particular month, every 3 months. That's not what we grew up with. So, what changed, really? But, anyway. But it was 97, 109. 99, 109 heat index. Now it's 78, and I think the heat index is like 80 or something. Somewhere around there. Yeah, that's a cold front. Calling that a cold front just makes my mind go, really? Yeah. That's like usually the heat of summer when it's 100 plus temperature. They would say we have a cold front and it's 99 degrees. Woo! Oh my goodness. But yeah, this year we did really, it was really nice. Yeah, really nice. It wasn't so hot, man. Anyway, I tried, years ago I said I was going to try every video to start off with something other than the topic. Like talk about the weather. Something different. So, don't know that I always do. In this one, I probably should talk about what happened last night. Yeah, because, I use my, usually use my videos. Depends on what it is, what kind of video. But for like I call it, pressure release valve. I'm venting the stuff that gets on when my happens, and that way I don't let it bottle up inside and explode like way too many people I've run across in my life. Too many people do that. Way too many. And I've seen them all my years on that type. But, I've known a lot of types. But anyway, what happened last night, I was supposed to have an appointment today. One I have never met, yet again, somebody I've never met before. And I think I scheduled it because I know I should, that kind of thing. When it's a long story, I don't want to go too much detail and all that, but not really anything. Well, this is going to be part of it, is I'm really getting burned out with seeing doctors. I'm not kidding. I have, like, Adam said, well, the basic thing is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Last night, so I'll go back here. Last night, I was supposed to have an appointment today. Couldn't sleep. This is becoming a norm for me, seriously. The night before, an appointment. I usually make my appointments in the afternoon because of this. I used to be one that's up early, wanted to get them done, over with, and go on with my day. But because I don't sleep right but now, and it has been like this probably for the last maybe couple of years or so, but I changed it to where the appointments are in the afternoon, after their lunch, whatever time they take it. Anyway, but I couldn't sleep yet again, and in the middle of the night I started thinking, I really don't want to go to this appointment. And I learned, they can basically, because it wasn't 24 hours and they have this policy and all this stuff. Then I called someone You know, they say to call this triage nurse, call the triage nurse, and she said, we have the policy, but it depends. Depends a lot on stuff, and on and on and on. If you plan on rescheduling, or if you plan on this and that, I'm to the point I don't care. Because my experience with these doctors in this, I don't even know what you call it. I really don't. It's all over Texas. They're all this big place. And there's more than one like that. And it's just, it's a lot of, what I have seen most, I'm not saying all of it, but most, is they just want to make money. That's all it's about. And I know I'm not naive. So don't go there. Don't immediately say, oh, she's naive. No, far from it. I'm a social and behavioral scientist, taught at college and university. Not naive to what goes on in this world. Especially when you have a rare health condition. And that, like the one last year said, it makes it harder on me. What the crap do you think it does to me, the patient? You chose this field. You chose this job. You should be there to do it. And you just wouldn't believe they throw temper tantrums because I have it on and on and on. It's just so much. But what I see the most when I say about making money, it's always about tests. They're not going to diagnose anything. And if they actually do diagnose something, they don't tell me. Like I found out this year by this doctor, he's my age. I don't know whether he's kind of related to me because he's my age, and how we met was kind of different, you know. And then he was recommended to me by someone when I was in the hospital last year. It was Labor Day weekend last year, and this is Labor Day weekend. And a woman my age there, the nurse, she suggested him. I said, well, I've already met him, I believe. And it goes on from there. But I think he told me, do you know that you're anemic? And I said, no. What do you mean? I'm anemic. Well, I understand what anemic is, but to know, he said, you've been anemic for months. He said, nobody told you? I said, no, nobody told me. And the cardiologist said the same thing. Nobody told you that you're... I didn't tell him that. He told me. He said, you've been anemic for... And I don't remember how many months. I think it was 7 or... Well, it was more than that. At the time I said, yeah. And this doctor, he told me about it. And he said he was surprised nobody told me. But that's the whole thing. They will run tests out the kazoo. Okay? But they don't tell me anything. So I started asking recently. You know, this one doctor, who he was supposed to run one test. So far it's turned out to be 4. And just like the last time, one test, but it turned out to be, that one was 6. They make money, man. Because it all goes right back into their whole system. They do the test there. They run the test there. They have this, that, the other. You know, it's all, even the insurance is their own. So it's really good. So I heard. I'm just wondering, you know, 2 years. I started going to them. My first time was in 2023. The nurse practitioner, I saw a nurse practitioner, and she charged up on my insurance card, you know, not me. She managed to get like $900 for the visit and test, around $900 or more, give or take, for tests. She never asked my permission to run say $800 and something worth of tests, or however much it was, worth of blood tests. No. You see, this is what I'm seeing, and I should have learned back then. But you know, you say, well, that's just this one person. It just could be her personality. She's just this way. You know, and that's how I felt. But I canceled the insurance and everything that year. The next year I said, okay, I'm going to try again. But I should have learned from that first one. Of course, I don't know that. I can't predict that all of them are going to be like that. And I'm not that type of person to think in terms of all, Just because one is something, then therefore all of them are going to be. Nope, it's not like that. Okay, fix that. But, yeah, it was... Anyway, to get back to this, it's just been too much. And last night, it really... Yesterday, actually, Adam and I went to a store for a few things. And, on the way home, I just let him know I wasn't happy. I was, it's not really like happy that I'm looking for. It was just, I wasn't feeling good about anything. It wasn't depression. It was just, I'm sick and tired of so much stuff. Those with all these doctors and their smart aleck mouths, and they're not doing anything but, we're gonna run more tests. Oh, let's see if we're gonna make you take this, eventually, this expensive one. Even though you said no, we're gonna do it. They don't say the words, but that's what they mean. The corruption, really, when it comes down, that kind of corruption. It's all, I don't even know if I want to call it that. It sounds a bit harsh. But it's just their program, man. It's just, we're going to make a lot of tests. We're going to run a lot of tests. Then we're going to send you to our friends so they can run a lot of tests. We're going to, what do they do? Some people say it's about money, but maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. These allergies. But, maybe not in the way you would think, okay, when a person would think. Because, like if a doctor, has they're not a part of this big, huge thing. Anytime I've ever seen that, affiliates and they name them all different kind of groups and all this different stuff. And everything about it gives me this feeling that really what they're about is they have quotas. They have to meet the quotas. Sorry, I'm getting this thing. If they don't meet this quota, blah, blah, blah happens or whatever. But if they do, they get, jokingly, I'm going to say this, like Doctor of the Month or something. They're going to have some kind of perk, or even if it is just, look at this doctor. That doctor really excelled this time. And everybody wants to beat something. It's there, something, because that's the feeling I get. It could be something bigger. I'm just saying that as an example, kind of lame example, but still. And it's not really about the patients. It's really not. It's supposed to be. It really is supposed to be about the patients. Patient-centered care is what it's supposed to be. But it's not. It's their egos. That I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about too many of them that I have seen. I'm not talking about all that out there, because I don't know all that's out there. I know what I've seen, and this is how I see it. And it's not all of them. Although I'm still looking for that really good one. So, the one that doesn't try to tell me, doesn't walk into the room and say, well, what we're going to do this time, I'm going to do this. No, you talk it over with me. I don't say that, but I really do need to start saying stuff like that. Now, we're going to have a discussion. And what I really want to ask them is when they say all this about, we're going to run this test and that test, I'm going to say, I need you to put it in writing why it is medically necessary that I have this test at this time. I really do. I really feel that way. I really do. Of course, I'm not going to do it. And of course, they wouldn't do that because they have other patients to take care of. And the one of them, the one I've already rejected 2 of them. And this one I should really reject. Because he's trying to set it up that, because I said, I rejected them. I saw them and I said no. First one I said it's not a good match. Second one, it was not a good match. Both of them, really not a good match. This one, trying to set it up, Adam was with me, that it's me that's the problem. No, this is the one that my first visit with him, he had his staff call, and one young woman, I don't think she knew the game they play, she called and she said, well, the doctor said that he needs to have you reschedule the appointment because he's going to have an emergency that day. He decided he's going to have an emergency that day. You don't decide that you're going to have a doctor have an emergency. You know, never in my lifetime, never in my whole lifetime have I had doctor's offices have somebody call to reschedule an appointment because the provider, doctor, nurse, whatever it is has decided to take vacations, decided they're going to be off, isn't going to be there, whatever they use that excuse. I've never had any reschedule at all, ever, ever, ever. I can't stress that enough, ever, until 2023, till I got into this system. Seriously, never, never. So they can't say that, oh, well, doctors have emergencies and they need to, ever. Never, ever. I've seen plenty of doctors in all these years. Never have any of them suddenly had this, the whole day is going to take. So every patient has to be rescheduled. They're going to, he decided he's going to have an emergency that day. Oh, man. The nerve of them. I think I've had around, it was probably in June, so June is the 6th month. I had already had around 10 rescheduled. I don't know what it is now. Yeah. And one of them I've never seen because they did it twice and I said, forget it. So, but anyway, man, I'm starting to cough. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of my goodness, really. And I want to hurry up because, it's already dark out here. You don't see it as dark. But yeah, it's dark. But, anyway, so much of this crap I've been dealing with, like Adam was saying, I said earlier, that didn't finish. Adam's saying, this is all that's been your life, for years, and it has, 2023, 2024, and then this year, it's already almost September. This has just been my life during this, but it's always been my life. But this is just worse. It's worse. Because all this rescheduling crap, really? So, you know what I did? I rescheduled mine for today. I did speak to a triage nurse, and she said that, like I was saying, it depends on what you're planning on doing. Are you rescheduling for this or that and all this stuff? I really don't, and like I said, I really don't care. I really don't care because it's just been too much. I mean, I have to have a doctor. I have to have doctor. Period. And I know I can find some that aren't within that group, but they are, in network with the insurance. They have not turned out to be any better, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Because this has been ridiculous, but anyway, I rescheduled the appointment. I suddenly started feeling better, and then I scheduled all my appointments with those two. For that was going to be a nurse practitioner. The doctor is my PCP. I scheduled both of them for December. Yeah, I need a break. I have said that to another one, their office, before, the one that I'm on my third one, when it was on the second one, and she was probably texting somebody. My guess was she was texting somebody when she was calling me and she wasn't paying attention. And anytime I ever call them, they just don't pay attention. They never would pay attention to staff. And she was the nurse practitioner there, so. And it would get to him and he'd come back, the doctor, and, the word would get back to me. It was like it had been through the grapevine and just changed like another, thought about the grapevine that by the time it gets back to you, it's all screwed up. That's what it would be, and that's why I didn't want him to be, want that for a doctor or for that purpose. They're specialists because of that. Get a hold of the doctor. Whenever I asked, is it medically necessary? He said, I'd recommend it. Of course he'd recommend it. It's all they do is test. Test. More tests. And the one that I was holding up hope for, he is the one that was supposed to run one test, and each time it was more than one. his text to me, the last test, said we're waiting on one more test, and then we're probably going to have to start. I'd already taken, and then we're probably going to have to run more tests. God, it's disgusting. This is supposed to be, health care. Where's the care in it? And what does it have to do about health anyway? You're just running tests. It's not like you're doing anything with them. So anyway, I needed a break. But that one I didn't reschedule because I have to take a test. Seriously. Two of them. The one that I'm on my third one in there and the one that was holding out hope. I have to do tests for both of those. And it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, it's getting really dark. Now you can see it's a bit dark. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But we had a really good rain, like I was saying earlier. Really good. It's thunderstorm along with it. And that was good. Anyway, now we're going to be back to temperatures in the 80s, sometimes 90 and above. But overall, just 80s. Thank goodness. Talk to y'all in another video. Bye.